I've not used this before, so I'm just trying it out.
Hey man, it's been too long since we sat down and that just feels wrong. Allow me to give my head a shake, open my eyes and fix a mistake. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit a rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Hey buddy, no strangers here. These times I hold them dear. My door's open, so come on in. This was great, let's do it again. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly.
Yo, Joe!
Yo, Joe.
Or Cobra! It depends on which way you want to go with it today. Allegiances will be figured out today, whether you sit more Joe or whether you sit more Cobra. I know we definitely have someone that sits more Dreadnought with us today. Gazz, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm running late. My coffee is all the way over there. I can see it. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, God, if I had have just brought it forward a little bit further, it would be with arm's length. I have like some backdrops now that I go live. How about we do the roll call real quick, and then we'll bring on our guests. How's that sound?
Great. Let's do it.
Two thumbs up from Gazz. If you want to be part of the roll call, all you got to do is be a Patreon member or a channel member. And we have Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, Casey Wheeler, Handsome Man, Ratface 44 Reviews, David Samuel Blaine, The Retro Tinker, Cindy K, Sunny Sundries, Jonathan Sorensen, Happy Accident, Joshua Allen, Adam from Go Figure. We've got Scuba Pete, Phil from Treasures for Trigger, Hans Chow, Ken Poe, Brendan Haley, Jason Clark, Titanium Princess, Grindhead Jim, and Space Commander. Then we also have our Clubhouse members, which are Cindy K, Gazz, Peter Ray Bob, Spacey, Jason Stillwell, It's Chad, Ryan Sweeney, Keep on Collecting, and Crash. Speaking of Crash, guess what?
What?
Right after this stream, directly after, we have the after show, members only live stream, Crash and Burn. Starts right after this show. It's adults only. You may need adult supervision. But all you have to do is be either a Patreon member or a channel supporter. And that's it. You know what? After reading through those names, guys, you know what I realized?
What's that?
That a bunch of those legends of those people that I just read out are actually here to be on today's show.
Right.
Spoiler alert, they're also written underneath you right now. So in the particular order that we invited people on, we're going to go with Dreadnought Ryan returning.
Look at that beard.
That luxurious beard. Looking good, buddy.
Making sure I got all the donuts and grape soda out of there from earlier.
I would hate to think how many Fruit Loops I have in my beard right now. I haven't eaten any Fruit Loops for a while. So if they're in there, they've been in there for a while. Good to see you, Ryan. Welcome back after our great fun that we had at the Western stream. And I know that
we're talking Joe, so I had to come back. Got to give the Dreadnoughts the love they need.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, there's going to be some allegiances, either Joe or Cobra, but I knew there was going to be a Dreadnought. Now, I did send Gazz a link to a new Western coming out. I didn't send it to you, Ryan, only because it's got Kevin Costner in it. We know you hate that guy. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of the Costner. So I was like, we're not going to show Ryan. All right, moving on to our next guest. We've got Kenneth Podamarin returning to the clubhouse. How are you, Ken?
Well, let's see. thinking of allegiances right now and looking at that introduction, and right at the beginning, I see the Robo Skull, and I'm traumatized by the memory of 2019, somebody offering me a Robo Skull for a tremendously good price, me saying, I'm good. I got other stuff I got to buy.
Ooh.
Looking at what
Ouch.
they cost the last little while, talking to toy store owners, and they're like, you were offered it for that price in 2019, and you said no. And I'm just kind of going, all right. After the new Bendy's figures that Skeletron sent, I'm in kind of a Red Shadows mood. So my allegiance will be Blood for the Baron, Red Shadows, full force. You know where I'm headed with this. So
Full force. Bendy's,
Full force.
just as Space
Bendy's.
Commander would call it, before things got ruined. And our final guest, someone who, such a mate that he was like, I couldn't not bring some slides with me today. The hardest working person I know, Adam from Go Figure. How are you, legend?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed. I didn't know Ryan was a hater of Kevin Costner. I brought him a little gift of these uncut Kevin Costner Waterworld cards from Fleer, and I figured that'd be the perfect gift for Rob. But if he hates Kevin Costner, what am I going to do with this uncut set of Waterworld cards? I don't know.
Put it in the.
you could send it this way and just pay Canadian postage. Save you some dollars.
And Wyatt in Dances with Wolves, and I like him in Yellowstone. Waterworld and Robin Hood sucked. Just have to be honest.
Ouch! Oh, that one hurt. That one hurt. That one hurt bad.
It is great to see you guys all again. We haven't hung out for a long time. It's no excuses. Look at this. Look at this. We're just hanging out again.
Now that we've got everyone in the chat, it's good to see everyone. It's almost a full house, full force. We'll say hi to the chat real quick. We have Ken saying smash that like button. Thanks, buddy. Gap After Dark. Hello all, or Halo all. We should do a Halo talk one day. Crash is taking it. He's here. He's here in the chat. Saying I'll smash the like button.
Crash.
Don't forget, Crash and Burn directly after this show. It's gonna be hot. Pericles, Dragon Ball. How are you, mate? Don't forget to add the Z. Pulling double duty is Adam. Yo, Joe. I guess the allegiances have been made for G.I. Joe. Planet Decepticonicus with another Yo, Joe. G-Force Racing 20. You'll always be number one to us, mate. Cindy's here. Howdy, partner. Yo, Joe. Cindy, the return of Games Night is happening soon. We had to postpone this week, but we are going to be coming back. So I know you're looking forward to the Games Night, so you'll be back on that. But we do have a show for you after here if you're interested. Sunny's Sundries with a g'day. Facebook user Team Dreadnought. You know who this is?
Larry Hama.
This. I have a feeling that this might be that guy I showed off yesterday that looks like Road Pig. He's Team Dreadnought.
Jacko?
Jacko Jackson. Mark Jacko Jackson. In the house. Of course, Mark Jacko Jackson is Team Dreadnought. Thanks, Ryan, for popping in the chat as well as being the handsome man on the screen. Have I got... speaking of legends, Phil's here with a... Back at you. Handsome man, Ratface44 is here too. And I think it's my son. That's Josh again. Must be Josh again. Or it's the other one. I've got 3 or 4 floating around.
Does he have that thunder machine? Or machines?
That was hilarious. Now, out of the sons that I have, it's either going to be Josh, most likely, Kyle, Xavier would be I don't think so, but it could also be my son from another mother. I don't know, and that would be James, who I joke around as my as my son. Could be any of those. If it's somebody new that I wasn't aware I'm the father of, well, that's let's go offline.
It's a bold move to out you as your dad as Facebook user during a live stream. Like it's just a bold move.
It is.
If it is Josh. All right. It is Josh. How are you, Josh? Josh pulled out the whole Dreadnought. What was the comment? We're talking about Road Pig. and he comes in with the Thunder Machine as their vehicle of choice. I was like, you definitely Googled that.
Thunder Machines are the vehicles.
The machines, yeah. Delmas Dugan, g'day all, what's up, ahoy, and Joe Fan 84 is here as well, saying evening to everyone, or good morning. I was running super late today. I'm still trying to wake up, but I'm here for some Joe talk. We're not just talking G.I. Joe though, right? We're not just talking G.I. Joe. We're talking G.I. Joe movies, and I believe specifically the live action stuff. However, we might dip a toe into some animated stuff. Maybe we'll see. So put on your accelerator suits.
Oh,
Everybody just cried a little bit right there when you said accelerator suits.
All right, let's just go with Rise of Cobra real quick, right? Which was the first live action G.I. Joe, not including the live action commercials that they did, which were pretty damn good. I liked them. I thought that the narrative of those live action commercials was actually pretty good. Probably, yeah. There, who's that? That's your Duke. Put up your Dukes.
Yes.
But Rise of Cobra was the first live action movie that they had coming out. Oh, Jeff Morris. Off the back of the 25th anniversary G.I. Joes, they started bringing out the Rise of Cobra action figures. And I couldn't have got to get tough. Yo, Joe, I couldn't have been more excited for G.I. Joe in my life. And I was loving the 25th stuff, right? I was like, this 25th stuff is great. Then they started announcing the movie. The movie figures were coming out. I think the first thing that I got was the snow job in the... What's that?
You got Brendan Fraser first.
Brendan Fraser, right? And how good was that? But I believe I got, because the toys, they were a little bit easier to get the G.I. Joe here in Australia, but they weren't like all over the place for a while until they were everywhere. But I got the snow job, which actually came with the vintage one. What would they call that one? The past and present?
Yeah.
the battle pack. Yep.
Oh,
So you
such a
got
good
the
set.
old snow job with the polar battle bear, and then the new snow job with the new one. That was such a great set.
Was that the enclosed one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Such a great toy. So who, before the movie came out, before the trailer even hit, and before they had a toy in their hand, who was excited for Rise of Cobra?
Oh, 100% in.
Not really. Vaguely.
Ken wasn't.
Yeah.
So when I heard Channing Tatum being cast and Marlon Wayans, I was a little bit hesitant on if I wanted to really get behind the movie at 100%.
Yeah. It was the unknown, and I think the first casting was that Ray Parks was always in talk to do Snake Eyes. So you're like,
Hey, Steven.
I don't care what happens around him. I just want to see Ray Park doing Snake Eyes stuff, right?
Right.
That was the whole thing. Zazel, can I interject? Because I did put some slides together, and we can kind of, the idea that I had was they kind of go through the movies a little bit. But they but then I kind of want to pitch you guys the good movie I think is in there. I think there's a good movie in the first movies, and I kind of want to pitch it to you guys while going through it. Does that sound like something that would work out? I don't want to take over.
That we can, if you put together slides, I'm happy to look at it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Whoop.
So the first thing.
Hold on. I will just say this. If a Hydro Viper pops up, I'm dropping.
Don't you dare, Adam. Don't you
What if it's a Cobra Commander who looks more like a Hydro Viper than he does Cobra Commander?
If it's not, if it's wearing purple, I'm out.
Okay.
This is me and Zazel's show.
Before we get into everything about the movie, the one thing we need to acknowledge is that this should have been this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like-
absolutely.
We got this. It should have been that. Would
It
have
should
been.
have been, but I will say this. Can you go back to Brendan Fraser?
Yeah.
That's still a cool character.
That's still a
That
cool
is a
character.
cool character.
Still a character.
Probably one of the best scenes in the movie is this
It's
scene.
the beret. It's the beret that does it.
I mean, at the Joes yet?
Oh, right?
There-
I just
Joe.
want to say this too. I just want to say this too. For everybody who was mocking him, see what's on his face. He's got not Brandon Fraser, but Snake Eyes. See the lips and the
Yeah.
nose and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
version 2 Snake Eyes right there. That's version 2 Snake Eyes.
Well,
That
we're
was
gonna
out-
we're gonna get into that, guys.
The one that everybody loves, the favorite Snake Eyes. That's it right there.
Yep.
That's it right there
Yes.
with the lips. That's it right there. Just
Correct.
pointing that out.
Yeah,
I agree.
We agree. I agree. So it should have been that. So we're not going to harp on Sarge tonight. He should have been in this role. That should have been what it is. Travesty. It didn't happen. But
Happy to talk
we look
to
at-
Sarge all the time, but yeah.
when we look at G.I. Joe movies, there's 5 that fall into the categories. There's the story of G.I. Joe, which was the inspiration for the name for the toy originally. There
Never
was
seen it.
the animated movie, which, yes, it was a movie, but it was really just a long episode of the show, right? Like it was in that continuity. It wasn't something super new and exciting. We kind of knew what it was going in, and it was good.
Well, they did plan on putting it in the theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like it was a movie officially, but it wasn't like, oh, this brand new medium coming out. And then we got The Rise of Cobra, and then we got Retaliation, and then we got Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes, I don't think is really a G.I. Joe movie because it's such a departure from any of the Joe lore. It's painful to watch. So really, what I wanted to talk about tonight was these 2 movies, these 2 live action Joe movies.
You also
And-
forgot.
Well, hold on. Technically, that's only one live action Joe movie. The other's animated.
Right.
Oh, well, the rest of them popped up. I'm sorry.
So anyways, so there's these 2 movies, and universally kind of like panned. Like they're not good. We can go on limbs and say, like, as a whole, they're a kind of a mess. But
I
there's
disagree.
Me too.
okay, that's good. You guys can disagree. In my mind, they're a bit of a mess. But I think there's a really good G.I.
I
Joe
got you,
movie
buddy.
in there, and I kind of want to talk about the things I liked and the things I didn't, and just pitch you guys a better version of this movie. Is that cool?
All right.
That's
All right.
good.
Now we're going into this with Gaz and I admitting that we like these movies.
Yeah.
So if you can improve the movies that we already like, I like one over the other, Gaz. I don't know. I don't hate either of them, but I like one over the other. Have you got a preference out of the 2?
I do too. Yeah, I have a preference.
So-
All right, we'll get.
We could just say that now. I like the first one way better than the second one.
Fair enough. Well, I prefer the Rise of Cobra, although Retaliation has some cool set pieces and great action, but I prefer Rise of Cobra.
I actually prefer Retaliation over Rise of Cobra.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause you're a ninja guy. You love the ninja stuff.
Well, a little more than just the ninja stuff. Brian?
I
We'll
think
get there.
these are both really good movies if you take G.I. Joe off the name of them.
See that? I can also say that they're really good movies
I have a rebuttal.
if you take certain things out of these 2 movies.
I have a rebuttal to that comment, though. If these movies came out and they weren't called G.I. Joe, someone, if not everyone in the G.I. Joe community would go, yes, this is G.I. Joe. This is what G.I. Joe should have been. Put G.I. Joe on it. Because we don't know what we want. We just want to hate on shit. But the Snake Eyes movie, for instance, if the Snake Eye movie was called anything other than Snake Eyes, everyone would be going, that's the best Snake Eyes movie. Just throw Snake Eyes on it, and it's the best Snake Eyes movie. But because they did put Snake Eyes movie on it, they were like, no, it sucks.
Actually, I want to challenge that, and I say, what if you put Storm Shadow instead of Snake Eyes on that movie? Then people, I think, would have got behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that comment. I 100% agree with that. And it does.
I've never thought of that before. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So
here's a great comment from Lilith. How are you, Lilith? Let's call it Leonard the Core movie.
Well, if we take all the bad bits out of these movies, that could be the core movie.
That's right. So to give kind of a rundown here, let's go through the cast. Well, actually, this is how I feel about these movies.
What?
This is how I feel about these movies.
What a wholesome photo.
when you were a kid,
this is the Crimson Guard, right?
This is the Crimson Guard. So
The Fred
when you
series
were a
right there.
when you were a kid, your family would have family friends that would come over sometimes, or like aunts or uncles, or some family would come visit you.
Hold on, hold on.
This kind of like weirdo kid that would show up and would have no idea what your toys were, and they play with your toys wrong. They would just see them in your action figures, and you're like, that's not how you don't no, that's not what happens. And I feel like that's a little bit what's happening in these movies is you're seeing all your favorite toys, and someone's just playing with them wrong. You're like, stop playing with them wrong. Because there's some really good bits here. There's some real good stuff. So like when you look at Snake Eyes and what Gazz was saying, people like to hate on the mouth in this costume, whatnot. This costume, folks, this casting is perfect.
Yeah.
This
For version 2, yes, definitely.
version
Thank
2.
God it wasn't version 3.
Thank goodness it wasn't version 3.
Yeah.
But with the mouth, the costume, I think it was perfect. It would have been cool if he would have had a wolf with him, just kind of sitting around doing wolf stuff. Like that would have been kind of neat. Where are you guys at with Snake Eyes as casting goes and visually?
To put throw it out there, guys.
Ken hasn't said a word yet, so let's have Ken have the first comment on this one.
I talk so much on like so many other streams all the time. I was gonna like try to like set a timer to like how long I could go without talking and like see if I could break my own record each time. Maybe I picked a bad time to do it, given it's a very passionate topic we're going on about.
If you're going to do it in a live stream, Ken, we'd appreciate it if you did have a word.
Okay. So we're back to basics. Okay, so we can. Okay, what was the question again? What do I think of Snake Eyes casting choice? I mean, I've got a Ray Park autograph sitting somewhere in this house that was gifted to me. So I don't know. I mean, who else are you going to cast? Right. I know the question that was asked a little while ago, like, were we excited for the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie? And the reason I was looking at my phone earlier is I was trying to remember like whether or not Revenge of the Fallen Transformers came out first or whether or not Rise of Cobra came out first, because it's the whole Mandela effect thing, right? Where I remember not being excited. The reason I shook my head about not being excited about the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra movie is because I remember not being very impressed with Revenge of the Fallen earlier that summer. So just checking a release date, that's exactly why I wasn't excited about it, because I just didn't care for the previous live action movie that came out. Having said that, remembering it backwards, even though I haven't seen each movie in a really long time, I do like Retaliation more. Maybe because The Rock was in it. I'm not sure. Maybe just biased wrestling and all. Surprise, surprise. And sorry, I did kind of tune out for a little bit when Gazz held up the Resolute DVD cover, because when you're thinking G.I. Joe movies, for whatever reason, I go to that one first. I don't know about you. I know it's animated, you know.
Okay, so Ken, do you like Snake Eyes?
A little bit. I said the Ray Park thing. You know,
Ray Park. Cool. Yeah.
Do you like
Ryan?
Ray Park was a good choice. I don't like the lips and the nose on the Snake Eyes mask. It was creepy to me, but overall, he was great. The gentleman who played Storm Shadow was also amazing in his role as well too.
Yep. And if I was going to go on now to my favorite casting choice, it's this gentleman here as Hawk.
Yes.
I know that he looks different with the beret and then that leather coat, but having like an older actor play like the leader of the Joes, I thought that he embodied the character very well. I loved seeing him on the screen. There's Gazz with his Snake Eyes version 2 with the lips. Look at him. Wants to give you a big old kiss.
Kiss those lips. Kiss him.
But again, I thought his stuff was perfect as well. I thought that was just hit right on the nose. Perfect casting.
Agree. I don't know. Maybe it's just his expression. I'm not sure, but like when I saw it, I felt
I like Dennis Quaid anyway.
No, I have a theory that Dennis Quaid has never been in a bad movie. His movies are all watchable.
They're all great. Inner Space, great movie. Jeff, how are you, Jeff? He's saying Quaid had the perfect age and grit for General Hawk, and I agree.
Yep,
He was good.
100%.
Good. I mean,
And then moving on, we get to Scarlet, and now I don't like in 2009 or 10 when this came out. You're gonna get kind of the black suit costume change a little bit. I didn't mind that. I thought this casting was perfect as well. I loved Scarlet in this movie. I thought that she was like very capable. I didn't like the relationship with her and Ripcord, all that nonsense, but I thought her as a character was brilliant.
It's a very Marvel kind of look, but maybe I'm just thinking Black Widow. I don't know, but it's kind of first thing that came to mind.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
If they added a little bit of color to her outfit there, just a like maybe just a bronze look in the chest, I think that would have really helped.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we move on.
I didn't care for Rachel overall.
No,
as Scarlet. I thought they could have went with somebody a little bit more independent. I think they wrote Scarlet really kind of more, pardon my language, but bitchy instead of tough. And
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Tough.
I agree with that, Ryan.
Having to play Ripcord, I was just hurt as a child, and that's why I act so mean.
there you go. So then we move on to Breaker, which I get that he's a communications guy. I think he's a little bit cyborgy looking, but it's not bad. And I get that Breaker and Clutch had the same face, so they kind of took a little bit of liberties there. I say he's passable. He's a passable Breaker.
You can't tell it's Breaker just by looking
No.
at him, though. Like I think the other ones you can kind of tell from the uniform, or you can guess. This one I have a much harder time trying to guess.
If you were to show me this image and say this guy's a GI Joe, what Joe is he? Right, and just by looking at it, I'm seeing the tech. Right, I'm seeing the little mic. He's got the little. I would have probably guessed dial tone.
Yeah.
Or even sci-fi at some point, right? Like he looks pretty techy.
Well, he looks techie, but it's like communication tech. So it's like he's got like it looks like a texting machine on his waist, and then you have that like phone sitting on his chest, and then you got
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you, Mikey.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I reckon that the fact that they casted international actors really, as an Aussie that was into G.I. Joe, I love that they leaned heavily into the international heroes of G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
I agree. It's one of the things I love about the film. That they have international Joes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyways, again, he's not great, but I think he's passable. Ryan, your thoughts?
I actually thought this particular actor did a great job considering just okay, I'm just getting it out. The script seemed to be written as let's get as many jokes in as we can.
Yep.
Yeah. Haha stuff. But I think he did the best with keeping to what his character was supposed to be. And I actually enjoyed, some of the dialogue that he had with the other members of the team.
Yeah, so I would say that he's a passable representation of Breaker, the judge that we know, but I think he's one of the most interesting characters to watch on screen.
But I think Gazz is right. I think he did dial tone more so than Breaker.
Yeah,
or
and
even
it looks like his chest.
Just so the
Looks like his chest piece.
Yeah, because
like his chest piece is a hoverboard.
Yeah, and you like a beard with Breaker because it's like his look. He's got the mustache, so it screams to me he's dial tone. But anyways, okay.
Did he have bubblegum?
He did chew bubblegum in this movie, I believe.
That's right. I thought
But you're right. Give him the beret, and he's just dial tone version 2.
Oh yeah, let's get some love for dial tone, please.
Yeah. So then,
Nice.
Moving on, we have Heavy Duty here.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now, Heavy Duty was the character that came out in 1991.
Yeah.
Kind of later on, so I rated him as odd choice, but pretty good. Like,
Heavy Duty was my guy. I loved Heavy Duty. I loved the action figure. He was my go-to guy, even over Roadblock. I loved Heavy Duty. I loved the look of him, the backwards cap. I loved his giant, what are they, like rocket launcher plus machine gun? It's like so extra. And it was so well put together. If you didn't break it, but I love the inclusion of Heavy Duty for sure.
For me, it's because he's an English character, right? And they made him Heavy Duty, and I didn't know who Heavy Duty was, right? I wasn't collecting Joes at this time, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool, because if that was Roadblock and he was English, I'd be like, well, wait a minute, he's from like this, he's from like, where is he from? Like Louisiana? He's a chef.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like this choice. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heavy
The
Duty.
reason
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the reason that it was an odd choice is because I think if you ask any like Joe fan, pick 6 Joes to be the main team in a movie, I don't think Heavy Duty would be anybody's choice.
That's one of my gripes. Yeah.
He's a bit of a sleeper pick. Like, you're right, they wouldn't pick him for a team, but if somebody did, he's one of those, hey, yeah, that's not a bad choice kind of things, right?
His action figure though was phenomenal. Like the Rise of Cobra version, he was taller, he was bulkier, and I think probably one of the best. I mean, some of them, like even Breaker, was pretty good sculpting wise, but I think this guy particularly was really well sculpted. I was a big fan of his action figure. Big fan of the actor too.
The thing about it, because he came later in the line, he's not as ingrained in us. So when they reinvent him, but still make him a badass and still give him like huge gear to to shoot with, it still works. You know what I mean? So that's why. So I get it. I think it's exactly what Adam said. Pretty good, but you wouldn't necessarily think to put him onto a movie team right away.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. He seems to be like the field leader for the Joes in this movie, right? It's this guy. Yeah.
All right.
I wish they would have put this as Stalker instead. That's all.
That would have been cool.
I think Stalker would have been a better character.
I always thought they should have had kind of as a equal to Hawk. Who was the black guy who played the detective in Gone in 60 Seconds?
I
thought he would. I thought he would have been a great Stalker to have him like with Hawk and like them sorting things out.
Well, he's a little. I think he might have been. Well, maybe at this time. Well, no, this is like what, 2009.
Yeah,
right.
It would have been right around that same era.
Yeah. I think he might have been a little too old to play Stalker, because I think a Stalker is like a younger guy still in the field.
Yeah, Gone in 60 Seconds is 2000. So
yeah, he was a bit older than that, because he played the dad in Romeo Must Die with Jet Li.
Yeah. But I just thought, to me, Stalker's one of the original Joes. So he's be a grizzled veteran. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyways, I thought he would make a great Stalker. Moving on,
Delroy Lindo, is that who it is? I'm just looking at the cast of Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's right, Delroy Lindo.
That's him. Yeah.
So then we get to Ripcord and Marlon Wayans here, and I classified this one as awful. I just feel like
I don't have a thing against the casting choices, but I think this would have been a good opportunity for a new character, or I don't know, another character, like maybe even Stalker.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't have any. I want to be very careful how I say this. I want to get canceled. I have no problem with the casting to do with the race. I have a problem with the casting to do with the actor choice and the character. It just was not Ripcord to me.
Yeah, me neither.
Right? Ripcord was a parachute guy. He's a paratrooper. Yeah. That's what his specialty was. This guy was a regular soldier who wanted to fly. That's nobody's story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dave Grohl learned to fly. There we go.
It was Marlon Wayans. He was going to be the comedy guy. And when you set up your movie where it's going to be these, witty, quick one-liners with references to pop culture, the movie's never going to succeed.
Right.
I mean, even like writing it, because you're not even looking at. To me, casting him as Ripcord and making him Duke's best buddy is not even. You're not even looking at either the Sunbow cartoon or the comics as a guide. You're just picking a character and saying, "Oh, it could be this guy. He could be best buds with Duke. And he can, he can clown around, and he can be like a commando, and he because commandos parachute, whatever. I mean, like this would have been a perfect Stalker.
Mhm.
With less clowning around a little bit. I would think the Stalker's a little more serious. You know,
Yeah.
or you know, we could have also had a spirit character or somebody like that. I just think that the choice of him playing Ripcord and putting him in that situation was completely wrong, and that goes to the writing completely.
So like
The character
3
doesn't-
years before this movie, that movie came out, Wind Talkers, with Nicolas Cage, and it was the Native American guy was decoding or doing the codes in World War II. That guy would have been a perfect spirit,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I also think they missed an opportunity with this guy. And this is where I would say if I was gonna change a couple things in the movie, when he steals the Night Raven and he's flying it, I think it would have been cooler if he had to chase and shoot down the Night Raven, but they were in like a bunker and all they had were F-14s. And he could have used a great line would be like, wow, these are so, when were these released? 84? And then he could have gotten the F-14, and it could have been his flying ability and his superior pilot skills that made him be able to shoot down the Night Raven. I thought that would have been a better sequence than a G.I. Joe flying the cool jet, right? Like, we're going to take the best pilot and put him in the best jet, and then he's going to save the day.
That's even another aspect of the character. I believe is he a pilot?
No, he's a paratrooper.
Yeah, so he's not even a pilot. So he's going to be piloting jets, which is out of character for the character.
And remember, he was jet qualified. You know, he's an Army member, not in the Air Force.
Yeah.
And he's jet qualified.
Yeah.
It was really just bad writing.
Well, it felt like everyone in G.I. Joe was jet qualified. I mean, how many times did just anyone go into a Sky Striker during Sunbow?
We're talking about the Sunbow series. Yeah, right. You're right.
That's a cartoon. That's supposed to be whatever it is. I mean,
I would have just rather have that air chase or that scene be like a Skyhawk in a Fang as opposed to Night Raven.
Then moving on, we get Duke here, and
nah, just kidding.
I have this chalked up, and this is where I'm going to kind of pitch like my version of the movie is starting here. Is this is the wrong character altogether? Like this is not Duke at all. When you look at someone like Hawk, that's how I see Duke, as a bit of a older, kind of more seasoned guy. I never saw Duke as a young guy coming in and joining the Joes ever as a kid. He was always like a established leader. And Channing Tatum did things in this movie that were so passive. Like his 10 hot. All right, let's go out. And everything he did was so weak. I was like, he's not a leader of anything. He needs to be whipped into shape.
Isn't it true though? He didn't even want to play the character.
No.
This
character should have been Falcon.
No, it shouldn't even have been Falcon.
No.
If you read Falcon's file card, he's a badass lieutenant.
Which doesn't make sense.
You're thinking Sunbow Falcon then.
And that was
or Deke Falcon.
I'm not saying the character that Channing played. I'm saying the character he should have played. And so this is my pitch. My pitch is, imagine the movie if Channing Tatum was Falcon, and then we're going to get into the villains, and then I'm going to kind of paint a picture. So
I should have made Channing Tatum Lifeline and then left him out.
And then just left him out. No, you stay here at the Fruit Loops.
Don't hold back, Ryan. That's why I love you, man.
All right. Then we got Destro. Destro here, who does the whole movie as a man in a suit, and in the last 30 seconds gets the metal mask. I don't mind that. I thought
earlier.
But I didn't mind it if it was set up for the second movie. They set up a lot of stuff and didn't ever pay anything off in the second movie, is how I felt. But I think his casting was perfect. I loved him as Destro. I thought he was maniacal. I loved all the hologram stuff. I loved how he was manipulating people. I thought he was great.
I was like, holy shit, Doctor Who's Destro.
Yeah.
Another guy.
I didn't see the twist coming. I definitely did not see the twist coming at the end, where all of a sudden the mask just shows up on his face. So
that's another thing. That's another thing that I have against this movie is heavy reliance on the nanotechnology.
Yeah, that was a bit weak.
But nanotech was the tech of the day, right? Everything was nanotech then.
Yeah.
Everything was. You couldn't watch anything without it being nano something.
It's
Before
still
that,
that
it was
Spider-Man suits nanotech right now.
Yeah, it's the film's MacGuffin, right? It's the nanotech,
right.
the nanotech bombs, the nanotech and the Vipers, the nanotech on Destro's face, the nanotech's controlling Baroness and Storm Shadow and nano this and nano that. I'm like, geez, can they just have like a recruitment camp for Vipers, please? And they, these guys are just badass. These guys badass mercenaries just want to kill everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Keep rocking the O-ring, Gazz.
Damn right.
So then we move on to the Baroness, and I have this down as just nonsense.
Oh no. Perfect.
Yeah,
I think she's a great Baroness, just the wrong character.
No, that's what I'm saying. Her
not the
casting
Baroness.
is fine. Her casting's fine, but the character she plays is not the Baroness.
It's not the Baroness. This should be Scarlet.
Yeah, it's nonsense. But the whole I'm the sister, and I've been brainwashed, and it's just she's not even Russian. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, well, you know who was Russian?
Should have been Lifeline. This is the girl that he rescued in the Sunbow series.
No, that girl.
And then they should have been both left off.
No, this is to me. I would have cast her. This whole story being rewritten, but she would be Scarlet. If I'm gonna have her Duke's love interest, that's Scarlet. Okay, and I'm doing the triangle with Snake Eyes, even though that shouldn't be. But anyway,
how stupid is the plot point?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
That all this is because they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and then Duke loses it because he kills her brother.
Well, he doesn't kill her brother. He dies in battle.
It's just like, come on.
Yeah.
I hate you, Duke, so I'm becoming the Baroness, and I'm going to become a part of a terrorist organization that's going to try to rule the world. Okay, right. I'm sorry.
What are we thinking with the glasses, though? How they turned that into its own tech, and not just that she needed a prescription.
Cool. Just have her wear glasses. It's okay to just wear glasses.
I didn't mind it because it like adds like that little cool okay, it's a Baroness right there. You're looking at the O-ring. Not only are they just like bifocals, but there's like tech in there when she can it's just like a heads-up display and stuff. I think that's cool. I think it's a cool idea. It makes her even more badass to me.
Yeah, but just have her have neat glasses and have that tech in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna look at when I look at the O-ring Baroness, that's what I'm seeing now after seeing this Baroness. I mean, overall, she's cool. It's just the story that they put her in the plot is completely crap.
Yeah.
We don't have a love triangle between her and Duke. They don't even know each other.
So then we move on to this fellow, the Cobra Commander. And again,
they fixed him eventually.
Well, I just chalked this up as the wrong character. He should just be Dr. Mindbender. Let him be Dr. Mindbender, and you know what I mean.
There's one problem with that, Adam.
Yes, sir.
When the Cobra Commander, when he's with Duke and they go into that hut,
that's Mindbender.
Yeah,
Dr. Mindbender's on the screen telling him what's going to happen, or he's in there or something.
So they kill the most diabolical minds, that mad scientist, the G.I. Joe, in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet.
Right. So, Swoopy swap those around. Let this guy be Dr. Mindbender.
Or Dr. Venom, even. Why not make him Dr. Venom?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like the writer of this movie was just like, oh, I'm gonna throw in these characters and then kill them up because, well, why not?
Right.
I'm gonna make Duke fall in love with Baroness because she's hotter than Scarlet, right?
Well, in the movie though, she was.
Well, Scarlet's a fairly attractive female.
But
I'm not saying that she's not attractive. I'm saying Baroness in the movie is more attractive.
Oh, true enough.
The way he looked in the movie reminds me of the He-Man live-action movie with the guy with the purple hair or the purple head. It's huge.
Yeah, the one you wanted to die. Right, the one you wanted to die, not the cool lizard dude. You wanted that guy to die.
Yeah. So then we have Storm Shadow, and then we circle right back around to perfection. Everything that Storm Shadow did in the movie was great.
Mm-hmm. Though
So now-
I will say this about I love the casting. I like the way the character is. I will say the choice of his ninja attire is kind of. And, and he has a pistol.
Yeah.
And he has a pistol. He has a pistol on his waist. Storm Shadow doesn't use firearms. Okay, he doesn't use firearms. He's traditional ninja. That's what he is.
Right. So
How are you,
with that-
Spartex? Good to see you, buddy.
So with that casting in mind and what's going on, and those couple character changes I made, this is what I would have done. So you have Channing Tatum be Falcon, and you scrap all the boyfriend girlfriend nonsense in behind. You have that be a backstory where he got separated from his brother. So it's always about, like, he doesn't mention him by name, but he's just like, oh yeah, like I'm looking for my brother, or can't find my brother. This is the whole thing. And then instead of having him be in love with the Baroness and know what's going on, that's his memory of her, you have her show up on the screen and he says, hey, in my brother's footlocker, there's a dossier on her. And you have him find his brother's info on that. And so the romance backstory is gone. And it's just this soldier being brought in with his buddy to G.I. Joe. And you have him be Falcon and he's talking about his brother. And then the movie progresses. Now, when this scene comes up and with these accelerator suits, and these were put in the movie because the director had written a movie just called Accelerate, and he didn't get it greenlit, so he's like, I'll just put them in G.I. Joe. Yeah. So what you do is, now these suits cost like $20,000 to make, these costumes each. So you take half that budget and you buy a dune buggy. You see,
right?
And then you paint that dune buggy green.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Right.
And put a big cannon on top.
And then instead of having that ridiculous CGI chase, you film a bullet style. With two strikers chasing that armored car.
Damn right.
All of a sudden, the movie
in the middle of in San Francisco.
In San Francisco, right? And all of a sudden, we're like, this movie's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Fun fact. Steve McQueen's actually driving that Mustang.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole chase scene.
It's brilliant. But just like this Mad Max kind of gritty, like authentic car chase. And because what happened watching G.I. Joe was we wanted to love it. Like we were all excited about winning. We were excited about watching this. And so we forgave the little things that we saw, like the smart bullets and you were like, we'll forgive that. It was the accelerator suits, I think, where a lot of us tapped out and were like, well, this isn't even a little bit G.I. Joe. If it would have been an Awe Striker chase, it would have like locked me in. So then you had the movie play out like it did, that kind of thing going on. But you don't have Dr. Mindbender become Cobra Commander at the end. You have the defeat go on, and then Destro and Mindbender go back and retreat. And in the final scene of the movie, you see Cobra Commander revealed. And they say, we didn't succeed with this, but we're moving forward. And Zartan is in place with, as the president. And then you reveal their prisoner that they have. And their prisoner is Duke, played by Matt Damon. Fresh off of Bourne movies. Like, look at this.
Mm-hmm. Let me see it.
Right?
Okay.
And then what happens is, in the sequel, instead of having it try and do its own thing, all of these setups then pay off. So you have, you have Duke's brother become Falcon at the end, and then that team goes on. Because what Hollywood has this thing where if you ever need a dull movie to make bank, you can either put a giant gorilla in it and it becomes 80% more watchable, or you can put The Rock in it and it becomes 80% more watchable. Right? Now, if you put both those things in a movie, they cancel each other out, and that's why Rampage does not do well.
Oh, hey Wes.
I'm gonna say yes.
Both.
So
100% yes.
Right. That's
all
what
that, and a giant monkey with The Rock.
Right.
Yeah.
But they put The Rock in there, and they put Bruce Willis in there, and then they've cast it with these other like weird unknowns in the second one, and we got like a Flint who looks like he's 23 years old. Like it's and you get Lady J, who looks like a fashion model, which was not really her thing. So I looked at the salaries that Bruce Willis got and The Rock got, and I recast this sequel. And so here's what I'm saying. You get Terry Crews as Roadblock instead of The Rock. Oozes charm, and he'll actually act. He's not like The Rock wasn't Roadblock. He was just The Rock. So Terry Crews is going to act his face off and just be charming.
You got
Jennifer Connelly as Lady J, because she's a little older, a bit of a veteran. She could be like a leader amongst that group who's got some experience there. And so when and don't kill all the Joes, have them be captured. Killing all the Joes was the stupidest thing in the world. And then Flint was like a leader in G.I. Joe, not a rookie. So you give Carl Urban in 2013, you give Carl Urban that role.
But
and
see, the only problem, Adam, is oftentimes if you're casting Matt Damon, you got to cast Ben Affleck. So does Ben Affleck become Flint then?
No. You could have Affleck
go full Good Will Hunting then.
Right?
Oh,
you definitely. But then Damon replaces the Bruce Willis character at the end. They rescue him, and he comes out, and then he unifies the Joes at the end. And I think that would be a payoff for the things that were set up in the first movie. But the sequel that we got didn't pay anything off. It just tried to fix it, and I think it did a terrible job.
Well, Damon does play a military guy in Oppenheimer recently, and it does work. Mind you, that's 10 years later or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he just came off of Bourne, like the Bourne Identity, where he played like the super agent.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're going more the super agent style rather than like, back office intelligence, high ranking. Depends on what you're going for. But yeah, I guess you're going with Bourne actor.
I'm going to take Matt Damon over Channing Tatum any day of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Magic is what you're saying.
I'm going to say this about Channing, right? If the script was better, right? I think he could have pulled off a really good Duke. I think we're judging him off of that script, and I think the script is terrible. But that movie script is terrible, right? We all agree to that, right?
Yeah.
Right. We all agree. There's bits in that hint to G.I. Joe. Like you got the MacGuffin, those weapons that Mars is. Yeah. That's cool because that's a Coleman thing, right? This is our weapon. We're going to destroy the world. We're going to hold everybody hostage. It's like in the second one they had that satellite, and it dumped a titanium rod or whatever on a city and destroyed London. Sorry, Spacey. Where
were you?
Just because Channing didn't want to play Duke didn't mean that you needed to kill off the entire Joe team and leave like a ragtag group for a Roadblock to run. You could have just recast the role. And this is something that I have issue with in film today is people have like a problem with people being recast in the movies. Mm-hmm. We see this with the Marvel universe. It's like, well, nobody can play a Captain America anymore because he doesn't want to play it. So we actually have to kill him off. We can't recast it. We can't recast Iron Man because it's Robert Downey Jr.'s character. No.
Yeah, they recast the Hulk very quickly, though. I mean,
you should.
Yeah,
I mean, look at James Bond.
The War Machine, yeah.
Yeah, look at James Bond, right?
Yeah.
He recasted those characters, and you don't need to do an origin story every time.
No,
you don't need to.
I would say that the worst part of any franchise is trying to make it an origin story first. If you already know the characters, right? Even G.I. Joe, the cartoon, didn't have an origin story. They were all just G.I. Joe doing their G.I. Joe stuff.
And they went back to the origin later. Most comics do that, right?
So that's one. Yeah, that's one of my big problems with this movie.
The Pattinson Batman. They started that in like the second year, right? Yeah. They're like, this is not an origin story. He's still learning. But it's not, and for me, I don't know. A lot of people kind of find that movie okay. I thought it was really good.
The Batman, I liked it. It was all right.
Yeah,
it was like it was more Batman than Bale's Batman was.
Mm-hmm.
At first, he couldn't even get a voice box. I mean, come on, seriously.
You can't blame Bale for that because he did that voice.
I'm blaming Bale for him because he probably said, "No, my voice is cool. I'm gonna do it like this." Look, but Mr. Bill, it doesn't sound good. No, I'm Batman. No, stop.
Good for you.
No, like so. Go ahead.
The big
Swear to
thing
me!
know that- My Batman.
The streamers just doing Batman
I'm just
impressions for the next
I'm
half
gonna say
hour.
this.
But
gonna say this.
I do like Batman Begins as an origin.
I'm probably
story.
gonna get some hate for this, but Affleck's Batman in that like 3-minute scene where he's fighting in a warehouse is way better than Bale's Batman will ever be in any scene in all 3 movies.
I don't know. The Dark Knight
Agreed.
trilogy is
Best
just
Batman
so
on
good,
screen
though.
for me.
Did you not like the Dark Knight
trilogy is
trilogy,
not good.
Gazz?
They got one good movie that everyone watches and 2 bookends that are crap.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
Batman Begins was good.
Oh,
That was a
man,
fun
look,
film.
First of all, you're using the Dark Knight and you're not using the Dark Knight in the movie. You're calling it the Dark Knight, but that's not the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is Affleck's Batman. He's a grizzled old dude that hurts.
That's fair. That's fair. But
Right?
having said that, the Nolan trilogy is
Here's the
still
thing
so
you gotta
good.
realize,
You're
too.
And
you're
There's
doing
a lot
year
of
one.
money that
Go
goes
ahead.
into these movies, and what Hollywood has always done is what's laziest and easiest. If you get a big name star, they're gonna have that be the person that will handle the series.
So
Marvel lucked out when they were able to get Robert Downey Jr. When they were able to get God, who played Captain America?
Evans?
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, thank you. And even Thor, but those guys, that was the perfect casting for them, and they fit the mold.
Mhm.
Bale, he fit the mold at that time. But yes, I agree. A darker, grittier Batman would have been better for the Dark Knight.
Yeah, there's just a lot of the comics, right? Like you see year 1 in there, you see Dark Knight Returns, you see Long Halloween elements there. Maybe that's why I liked it so much, because those are like my favorite Batman stories.
You see what I'm saying though? You're using the Dark Knight, which is the grizzly old, almost retired Batman, and you're using him as the new, fresh, I'm gonna be the Batman, and I'm ninja trained in this, and it doesn't work. To me, it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, they're fun to watch, especially when you show what's his name, guy who breaks his back. Why am I'm drawing a blank?
Bane?
Bane, and he's a Scottish dude. It's Sean Connery. What? No,
that movie's a chore to watch.
Oh my god. But like so swinging back into G.I. Joe, let's not get G.I. Joe. That's a main problem I have with Rise of Cobra is we don't need an origin story for Duke. We don't need.
Yes, agree.
We should have had Duke in G.I. Joe. We could have entered it with Falcon or a new Joe, a made up character. That's fine too. And he's entering the G.I. Joe, and Duke is training him. Right? We could have done that easily. Simple. But we don't need origin stories at all.
I'll say this, Gaz, and I agree with you 100%. But I will say this, right? All you needed for the G.I. Joe movie, or any G.I. Joe movie that they do in the future, all you need is in the opening, have that voiceover say G.I. Joe is, right? Explain what G.I. Joe is, like they did in the cartoon, and then just move on with your movie, right? The Lilith mentioned.
I was going to say the scroll in the beginning of Megaforce just explains it all.
Perfect. So the Lilith mentioned before which movies back in the day would have made a good G.I. Joe movie, and everyone comes back to The Punisher. Not The Punisher. Punisher, a great movie. Predator. Predator is a G.I. Joe movie, and who's who in that, right?
Oh,
and
I mean, if you
people
want,
say that.
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with that either, right? But that's actually proving my point in that people will say any movie that closely resembles G.I. Joe would be a great G.I. Joe movie, proving to me again that like some people saying Expendables would have made a great G.I. Joe movie. Get out of here! But I'm not saying Lilith said that, but the fact that Predator used, but people saying that Predator is a good G.I. Joe movie, or even people saying your favorite movie, Gaz, Megaforce would be a good G.I. Joe movie, right? And I think Megaforce is a good Megaforce movie. It doesn't need to be anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But the fact is, if this, and I will say this to my death, which may be soon, is that anything that isn't G.I. Joe that even slightly resembles G.I. Joe would be. All the fan base, because we don't know what we want, would be saying that would be the best G.I. Joe movie, including Rise of Cobra if it was called anything else, because people would go, that would be Duke and that would be Snake Eyes. And everyone would be like, oh man, why can't Hollywood do this? Hollywood can't do shit. We know that. But as far as Snake Eyes is concerned, right, and this is why this is what I'm rambling on to. This is the point I'm trying to make, right? Hollywood must have looked at the Snake Eyes action figure that you held up, Gazz version 2, and gone, let's make his suit as close to this as possible. Right. And so what they do is they put the mouth on him because that's what the toy had. And then everybody collectively got together and said, why does Snake Eyes have a mouth? He doesn't even talk. And then they must have been looking at that toy going, do these fans even know what G.I. Joe is? It is exactly like the toy.
I sometimes wonder how the outside world sees the collector, because we're so stuck in the minutia of these details and how they have to be a certain way. Everyone else must be like, oh man, like get over there. I'm embarrassed to know these guys.
You know what's funny about what we've heard tonight in the stream so far is we really care less about what these people have looked like and more about their character and story. And that was the problem. We're like, this has been wrong. Like the Baroness wasn't the Baroness. Cobra Commander wasn't Cobra Commander. Duke wasn't Duke. Ripcord wasn't Ripcord. And so and it's almost like, so we had, I was down at the cafe the other day and they're talking about the parking downtown in our town. And so a representative, one of our city councilors was in there talking about how they're going to change the parking around. And so I was talking to them. I said, because my wife and Tara work at this cafe and they're concerned the parking is going to be all gone. And I said, what are the options? And they said, well, our city planner gave us these two options. And I said, well, was one of their options to just leave it as is? And they were like, no, they wouldn't suggest that. And I was like, no, because they need a job, right? Like if their suggestion was just leave it as is, then they don't have a job. And so I feel like Hollywood writers, if they were just like, yeah, G.I. Joe, the story's there. Here's the file cards. We're just going to do this. Then there's writers that are like, well, what are we here for? And it's like,
you can write a story about G.I. Joe and not base it off the comic books or the cartoons and just take these characters, as long as you're sticking to the characters and then write a story with those characters. You know, like everybody says the perfect G.I. Joe movie would be in the 80s. I disagree. It doesn't need to be in the 80s. You can create a fictional world, a fictional war where Snake Eyes, Stalker, and Storm Shadow hook up and they're on the same team together. You can create a fictional world and a fictional war that this happens and then have it in modern times. You could do that. There's not a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. As for like Predator being like the perfect G.I. Joe movie, yeah, if you want your G.I. Joes to die, I don't want my Joes to die. I'm sorry, no.
Hollywood does.
I don't want to be hunted by space creatures. I don't want Rakondo getting his chest blown out. You know what I mean? No. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's cool. They would be cool if they were Joes, but they wouldn't die at the end.
Yeah, they'd win.
Right?
I have a retraction to make. Earlier in the show, I said that the Expendables would not make a very good G.I. Joe movie. Kirk Bazigian apparently said Expendables was like a Joe movie, and who am I to disagree with Kirk Bazigian? I've changed my mind. It is absolutely the best G.I. Joe movie, not called G.I. Joe.
If they're military, if they're government funded, military run, those characters, that would be the perfect Joe movie because they're all like specialists of what they do. You know what I mean? But they're all mercs, and that's not G.I. Joe. G.I. Joes aren't mercenaries. Those are the dreadnoughts, right? The biker gang. But they're on the side of they have like a heart and they have feelings. And
when you look at Expendables, it's a small group of specially trained people that go and do those impossible missions.
Yep.
And that's what it's about.
Exactly.
But and the whole problem where the struggles, I think, for the live action G.I. Joe, it starts with Bonaventure and the producers not taking the shortcuts, looking at the bottom line more so than looking at putting out something quality for G.I. Joe. And one thing I'll disagree with, Larry did a great job of building the story. You also have Sunbow, you have Deke, you have Resolute, you have a number of different stories that you could tell. And the biggest part of G.I. Joe was those file cards that Larry wrote that gave those toys that third dimension that we were looking for. And take some of that stuff and understand what those characters are or who they're supposed to be and embrace that. You know, Snake Eyes wasn't what they portrayed him as in the Snake Eyes movie. I don't care what actor you put in there. That wasn't Snake Eyes. the character. Duke was not Duke. And that's why they suffered so bad is those are not those characters, and embrace who they are and run with it. You imagine if Tony Stark, played by Robert Downey Jr., was more worried about, being, how do I want to put this? Robert Downey Jr. had that character and how they wrote Tony Stark to be that flawed billionaire who was hiding all of his demons. Chris Evans was written to be that goody two-shoes Captain America, but became jaded. Like, that's how they developed those characters. They kept them to who they were for Marvel, but just kind of embellished them a little bit more for the movies.
Right.
Well, I think they wrote them.
At essence, they are those characters that you remember from the comic. After a while, their own personalities start to mix in there and fully form the character into more than just a two-dimensional, character there. But because you can see a little bit more Robert Downey Jr. as the series goes on, and he becomes synonymous with the character, which is why I think people find it hard to recast, because that's who they see. In fact, they changed the comic to look like the actors. They did it for X-Men, they did it for Blade, they did it for Nick Fury, they did it for the Avengers. Eventually, it starts to blur the line.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about the cinematic universe. That's like somebody was telling me, I was talking to somebody, this is before Snake Eyes came out, and I said like they were, hashtag not my Snake Eyes. And I said, don't look at it as the comic version Snake Eyes. Don't look at it as a Sunbow, because he was pretty much non-existent in the Sunbow. I said, just look at it as an alternate version of Snake Eyes. I mean, how many Snake Eyes are in the comics right now? Like, what, 4? Yeah, you have you have the guy that was training under him that now dons the mask. There's like another guy, right? And then there's
Kamakura, or I guess.
Yeah, and then there's a girl, and now there's a clone of Snake Eyes. So it's not even Snake Eyes anymore, right? So he's not even existing. So to me, when I watch this movie, if I look at it through the G.I. Joe lens, and I say, okay, this is like an alternate version of Snake Eyes. But when I used to play with Snake Eyes, when I used to play with this dude was me.
Yeah.
It could be anybody under that mask, right?
You insert yourself in there, yeah.
To me, it doesn't pass the test of a G.I. Joe movie as much as I want it to. But as a ninja flick, that's one cool movie. As a ninja movie, that is cool. Right? That just sits up there. I have it right up there with all my other ninja movies. Right up there. Because it's
I enjoyed the Snake Eyes movie. I thought the Snake Eyes movie was great. I'll just shout this comment out real quick because it's a good point. All of these military specialties still exist. You could easily set the movie in current times, and I think we collectively agree. And then here's another comment I think we'll collectively agree with. Dodgeball Joes versus Cobra better than the Snake Eyes movie. But I went to see the Snake Eyes movie with Steve from Joburg. And maybe it was because I was hanging out with a buddy and watching it, but I legitimately enjoyed the movie. I did not have a bad time. I had some issues because when they finally say Yo Joe in the movie, it's like the most humdrum version of Yo Joe you could, it's like a wet fart, Yo Joe. It was like, oh man, come on, you can do better than that.
That was Channing's delivery for every line, though. But,
I know.
It's my job. I gotta watch.
I'm gonna be pouty and mean on my motorcycle.
One in.
Channing Tatum acts like a wet fart.
Yeah, but like I don't mind him playing Duke. It's just that script was horrible, and I think that's the reason why he doesn't want to play it anymore, because it was horrible. Even the second one, it was, as much as I like the second one over the first one, it's not much difference between the first and second because got aspects. The second one to me was more of a G.I. Joe plot with Cobra. They were going for it. They were swinging for the fences.
Mass murder of all the Joes at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on. All right, if you look at it, as much as it pains you to see that happen, all these Joes, but it's brilliant because Cobra. How many times has Cobra tried to do that? I mean, the first episode of G.I. Joe the cartoon, man, they get attacked. Yeah, and Scarlet almost runs down Duke Stalker with a Sky Striker, right?
Yeah,
and lands it down, and then next thing you know, here comes what's his name, the Major Blood and Cobra attacks.
Yeah.
This fast attack, they're trying to kill them all. So to me, it's like, oh wow. Now just imagine if that happened, but you had a couple, maybe a couple green shirts died, something like that, a couple of wounded Joes, and they get up and they're like, oh shit, we just got attacked by Cobra. And you're like, oh damn, that's cool. Right?
So G.I. Joe should never be a full-on military force, right? It should only ever be a small task force that get together to do the missions that the military can't do. They're not designed to replace the military. They are the best of the military, all come together in one unit. And I think that's...
I was going to say, I see it like Mask. Like in the beginning of Mask, when he chooses the guys that he needs for his mission.
Yes!
That's how I see it. You know, this Hawk sitting in front of me like, okay, I need Dreadnought Ryan, I need Kendar, and I need Adam for this mission.
Whatever they do, they just drop what they're doing and they run off.
Yeah, exactly. You get the little
making a pizza, just leave. Right?
Yeah. But they're all in the military, so wherever they are, they get flown in or whatever, right?
Right. They shouldn't all be hanging out at G.I. Joe headquarters. They're in their own military units, and
those Mask guys got there very quickly, so you never know, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, Cobra. It's not like they do something every day. You got to build it up, right? I think you can't just create a secret lab overnight and create this giant germ that's going to overtake half the country, and the only way to kill it was with apples.
Sounds like a Sunday episode.
That sounds very specific, yes.
I'm just saying, right? This doesn't happen overnight. I mean, they got to train these guys, right? They don't just show up day one and be like, "Yeah, I'm a Viper."
And you wouldn't be training new recruits,
right,
in the middle of a huge Cobra attack anyway, right?
Right.
Am I the only one? I might be alone here, but I think if they were going to keep Channing Tatum and he didn't want to have a big role, then they could have just made him the Hawk character. Hawk's resigned, gone on to lead a life, and now he's in the background. Could have done that, didn't have to kill him. However, am I the only one who kind of missed some of the characters from Rise of Cobra?
Yep.
Like they didn't have the same camaraderie as they did in the first one, and as goofy as the first one is, I love it because it's a cohesive team. And everyone seems to, be buddies. Maybe I just like things too rainbowish, happy sunshine. But in the next one, they don't even feel like they're even liking each other.
No, the Rock is just out there equipping Rock stuff, and then all his rookies are just like trying to be good.
And I'm like, he's just on Flint's case. I'm like, that's Flint. He's ordering you around. It should be the other way around.
Yeah,
Marvin.
Marvin.
No disrespect to The Rock, no disrespect to him, but it's
I'm all right with it.
I like him as Roadblock. I don't have a problem with that. It's just the way it was written. I'm like,
The Rock to me is like Kevin Costner to Ryan. I just can't stand him.
Well, I don't think The Rock acts. I think he just shows up and does The Rock.
He plays The Rock in every movie,
right?
Yeah.
Scorpion King.
Well, actually, no, because he did that one where he was the Tooth Fairy, and that wasn't very rockish.
It's
like Joe, how are you, Stephen?
It's the same style character every movie he's in.
Yeah, it is. It's very true. I was very disappointed in Black Adam. I watched the first time and I liked it because I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then the second time I watched it, I was like, "What was I thinking? This isn't that great."
Well, you told me it was good, so
I did. I watched when I first saw it in the theater.
You told me that you watched it.
Right? Yeah, I was like, "It's cool. I like it. It was pretty good." But you know how it is when you're in front of the screen, you're like,
yeah. And the Black Adam,
Black Adam.
What's that?
So Black Adam had cool stuff, and it's just not Black Adam.
Yeah, it wasn't Black Adam. Yeah.
except for the Black Adam part.
It was The Rock as a superhero. Is pretty much what it was. I'm like, he was even talking about how, oh yeah, I wanted to play a really cool superhero. I'm like, do you even know who this guy is? He's not a superhero. He's not.
Yeah.
He never was.
No.
All right.
No. Pitfall.
On that,
you know what?
No.
You know what we haven't touched on? The video game Rise of Cobra. Did anyone play that?
I didn't.
No.
I tried it one time and I was like, oof, this is not for me.
I love that game. Me and the kids would play it. You could play as Shipwreck, you could play as Gung Ho, you could play as Beachhead. Like all of these characters that weren't in the movie, they moviefied and threw that in the game. And for the most part, they're still instantly recognizable as their original characters. Even Wild Bill shows up. It's just a really great game, and some epic scenes with the mobile pit, which I thought was an interesting play set. In fact, I use it as the slaughterhouse because I think it was probably the last of the good play sets for anything, really.
Yeah,
such a great toy. But it's a good game if you haven't checked it out. Watch some gameplay. It's a little bit restricting in where you can and can't go. It's not open sandbox or anything, but man, so good. Hey, Blue's in the house. How are you, Blues? Yeah, I love the game, and it continues the story from Rise of Cobra 2. So it really does lean into what happened with Cobra Commander after that, and Destro, in fact. So yeah, it was okay.
So then. In the second installment of the G.I. Joe film franchise, Bruce Willis, even though you said you would recast him, we found out on Zazel's channel that he was actually supposed to be Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah,
which would have made a hell of a lot more sense.
I mean, I don't mind Bruce Willis as Joe Colton. That's cool in itself.
Yeah, as Joe Colton, it was okay.
I'm digging that. But I mean, when I find out that it was supposed to be Sergeant Slaughter, I mean, it makes a little more sense.
But
right?
see, I equate. Like, I think that the having Joe Coleman there is a cool idea, but Bruce Willis just is Bruce Willis. He's like he takes you out of a movie where it's like he's just John McClane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But here's another thing that I have to say about the beginning of the second one. Not all the G.I. Joes were there.
Yeah.
Right? Because Hawk wasn't there.
Scarlet wasn't there.
So they're not all dead. Where are they? The only one they can get in touch with is Snake Eyes and Jinx.
Yeah, and Snake Eyes and Jinx, that was a great Snake Eyes movie. Like half of that second sequel was a great Snake Eyes movie.
Cool. I love the confrontation between him and Storm Shadow in that hallway in that mountain retreat.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Storm Shadow and traditional ninja with the shurikens and the swords and stuff, and here comes Snake Eyes with this like MP9s. He's like bang bang shooting them out of the sky. I'm like, that was cool.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's what I dig. That was cool. And then the whole cliff sequence.
Ryan,
cool.
Can I get because I must have missed it, can I get your opinion on Arnold Vosloo as Zartan?
Yeah, I loved Arnold as Zartan. I thought he was perfect.
Yep.
That psychotic style mercenary was more what I would imagine Zartan to be.
And what I didn't even know was Xandar was his bodyguard in the second movie. I didn't even know that.
There's a deleted scene where he calls him the name, eh?
Yeah. Because I was watching it, I think, on Netflix. And for some reason, the closed captioning was on. So it has the person's name that's speaking, and it goes Xandar, and I went, wait, what?
Ray Stevenson as Firefly was amazing, too. He was perfect.
That was cool. But I didn't like the fact that he was the opposite character for Roadblock. I don't see Firefly, that big broody guy. He's like a demolition expert. This guy's for me, I know a lot of people like Firefly as a ninja because he's got the balaclava, right? I think, but if you look closely, he's wearing a turtleneck. Yeah, and he has dynamite on his leg. He crosses his chest. This guy, he's a merc, and he's the equivalent of Snake Eyes, Commando Snake Eyes.
Right, Commando Snake Eyes, exactly. And I'm surprised I didn't try and make. I'm surprised I didn't try to make Beachhead a ninja just because of the mask.
Yeah. But I mean, he's equivalent. So he's not going to be like, fist to fist with Roadblock. He's going to be like, oh, throw a grenade at you instead. I'm out. Right. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity to bring somebody like a bigger character, maybe like a Road Pig. I'm trying to think of a big Cobra guy.
But see, the only problem is with The Rock being cast, he wasn't Roadblock. He was Rock. Right. And they should have just made him. Make him the character to be the G.I. Joe like Sarge was, or the refrigerator. This is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That's actually a good idea. He played himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
But
what,
you know
though?
he has to have fight scenes.
What they should have done is they should have been meta about it and just said it was The Rock.
Yeah.
Right? They've used real life personalities before. They should have just said, "This is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson." They're like, "You mean the wrestler?"
And it would have been perfect because you could have just like you're saying, and then in the toy line, he could have been like the modern Sarge.
Right.
It would have been brilliant. It would have been
Missed
brilliant,
opportunity all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Never
very
thought of it
missed
that way.
opportunity.
Huh.
Yeah, but instead we got what we got, and it just like I'm like watching him go, toe to toe, like Firefly and Roadblock going toe to toe. I'm like, this isn't Firefly. Who's this guy? This is like him being a ninja. This doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So Firefly in the cartoons, I think, was played to perfection because it wasn't overly done. He had a role and he performed that role. He wasn't also the tough guy. He wasn't also the brute. He wasn't also the master technician. He was just the guy that come in. Uncanny Swag, how are you, buddy?
I feel like they took him and they kind of mixed him with Scrap Iron. Let's see the classified Scrap Iron with like the messed up face because something blew up in his face, right?
Right.
And when he takes his mask off, he's all burnt and stuff. I mean, yeah, Firefly could look like that underneath because that probably happened to him too.
Well, the one thing that I thought would have been a cool thing that they didn't do. We all know Walter Goggins is just the best, and he played the warden in the prison.
Yeah.
If when the escape happened, he turned out to be in on it.
Yeah.
And then second Walton Goggins came out, and it was the Crimson Twins.
Yes.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
That would have been perfect. Two Goggins for the price of one.
Yeah. That would have been dope. I would have liked that.
A gaggle of Goggins.
Gaggle of Goggins.
I mean, even like you could have just like because you have Zartan, so obviously his dudes are going to be around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many other those guys are dressed up as like Secret Service guys? Where's Zorana? And I'm thinking like maybe a better character instead of Road Pig to go toe to toe Roadblock. What about like Monkey Wrench? Because he's kind of built, right? He looks like a bruiser, right?
Looks cool.
And then he just shows up and he's like, "Let's go!" That scene from Mission Impossible with Henry Cavill in it. Remember that one? I forget which one that was. Yeah. When they're in the bathroom scene and he's getting ready to fight, he's going like that. I can see like him walking through the door doing that and going, "Let's go, Roadblock. Let's take you down."
Yeah. Perfect. Roadblock versus Road Pig would have been cool, or Big Boa.
Big Boa. Does that Big Boa show up?
Yeah, just out of the blue, just big helmet, in.
Just bring in Jacko.
yeah, Jacko Jackson. Swing it right back around to the Jacko Jackson. But let's touch a little bit on the Snake Eyes movie. A little bit. We've circled around it, but I think that where they went wrong is, and it happens with a lot of movies, is that they try to capitalize on one single character and make an origin movie out of it. And the problem is that I think personally they looked at both G.I. Joe movies that already happened and went, all right, what were people most unanimously a fan of? Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes. Let's make that a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Taking away, I love Wolverine, but his first solo movie, it's a guilty pleasure for some of the scenes, but for the most part, it's not a great Wolverine movie.
No.
And is that the Wolverine where he goes up against the Silver Samurai?
No. X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine, where Deadpool is not Deadpool. It's just a lot of missteps there too. And I think that with the Snake Eyes movie, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed aspects of it, but I had a fun time. But I just don't think that G.I. Joe ever needs to be an origin movie, and I don't think that they ever need to sort of get the team together. I think it would work best if it was already an established team. But the casting, I don't know, man. The cast who played Scarlet? It was Hugo Weaving's daughter, right?
Samara Weaver.
Yeah, I think so.
What is it? Yeah, right. Yeah, well, yeah.
I didn't have an issue with her.
Cool.
But I had a problem. with her
For
being
Barrow,
in the
being a good
movie.
Baroness.
Sorry, the timeline got weird to me when you're like, it's Snake Eyes, he's here, he's not Snake Eyes yet, he's kind of talking, but G.I. Joe exists and Scarlet's there. Like
Yeah.
I don't. It had nothing. Like it was so far removed from what Snake Eyes actually was, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
I mean, like he's like I know people are saying, well, he's working for Cobra, but I mean, he's not really working for Cobra. They're like manipulating him, right? They're like lying to him. They're asking him to sneak in there, and he's got no loyalty to anybody, right? He's on his own.
But imagine a sweet Vietnam movie, and at the end,
Well,
guy
yeah,
gets sweet martial arts stuff in Vietnam.
yeah,
in the
but
end, he gets.
but see now you're dating it, so it's going to be an '80s movie. It's like it doesn't have to be a Vietnam. It could be like Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, sure, Afghanistan. But it's and then at the very
Wait,
end,
The rolling Marvel timeline.
Yeah. Like I said,
so you can put it back in the Vietnam era and do that. I think where they always screw up with origin movies, it shouldn't be a good guy's origin movie. It should be your bad guy's origin movie. Why is the bad guy the bad guy?
right.
Yes.
And
yes.
like I said, if they would have made Storm Shadow's origin movie, it would have made more sense.
Well, if you look at Snake Eyes technically, if you take a good look at a movie, it says Snake Eyes Origins, but technically, if you look at it, it's Snake Eyes Storm Shadow Origins because it basically you're introduced to both of these characters, and you see what happens to both of them, and Storm Shadow gets thrown out of the clan because of what Snake Eyes does, and Snake Eyes is accepted into the clan. So now Snake Eyes' mission is to get him back. So I mean, technically, from the writer's standpoint, and I'm being devil's advocate here, he's saying I'm giving you kind of what you want. Because I set up that moral fight between the two of them, why Storm Shadow hates Snake Eyes and why Snake Eyes won't kill Storm Shadow. He wants to bring his brother back because they have this kid, but they just went about it the wrong way. And I mean, I don't have an issue with Snake Eyes being manipulated by Cobra, right? To infiltrate this clan. I don't have a problem with that. Because when I was a kid, I'm like, Snake Eyes, you look at his name and the enemy's Cobra. Why is he called Snake Eyes and they're Cobras? He was your ex-Cobra. I mean, that has a cool angle to it. But at the same time, it's Snake Eyes, and he's like through and through G.I. Joe. Ninja, he's got that code, right? He doesn't
but he doesn't start out as a ninja, right?
No, he doesn't.
So
but he knows
martial
martial
arts. In Vietnam, soccer with Tommy, right? So we get that backstory. He's on his way home from Vietnam, and Cobra Commander's brother kills Snake Eyes' family, and Cobra Commander holds that against him. So Cobra Commander hires Zartan to kill Snake Eyes, who kills, I think it was Soft Master or Hard Master.
Yeah.
That's a freaking great story to tell if you want to do an origin story.
It is. But I mean, like everybody loves the Ray Park.
Larry Hama involved with the whole process with Snake Eyes. How the hell do you not go, well, that's a really good, can we use that? Instead of, I'm an underground cage fighter who's trying to find out who killed my dad, and I got the name Snake Eyes because of this guy who killed my dad because he had loaded dice. It's like,
right. That is a bit rough.
That's something I don't like about the film. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, but I mean, like, what was I gonna say?
Then he becomes a ninja in like a week. Like, all these other guys are studying here at the Arashikage, compound. But I'm a cage fighter, so that means I'm ninja skills are level 10 already, and he's already there.
Well, I mean, all right, hold on. Everybody likes the Ray Park one, but that essentially happens with the Ray Park one. He breaks into their kitchen, steals their food. Storm Shadow beats the crap out of him. And then he's like being trained for a week, and then the master gets killed, and Storm Shadow runs off as a little kid. I mean, they're like,
I don't like that. I don't like that part of that.
Like 8 years old. No, I mean, like, I get that, but I mean, like. You could take that, you could set it up any way you want. I mean, I would have just made it a clone. Be like, they just cooked him up. There's Dr. Mindbender. How that would have blown you away, right? Be like, oh, he's Snake Eyes, but he's a clone.
No, that's problematic too. I mean, I feel like all they have to do is have Snake Eyes already be Snake Eyes, right? And have, if you have to bring up any of his background, right, have him be a mystery for the most part.
Well, that's what
right?
it was. Right?
If you have to say anything, it's just give them little bits and pieces of his history through dialogue, right? Through interaction, just like they do with John Wick, right? You don't see John Wick's all his history, right? You just know because of the people that talk about him that this guy is bad. Don't mess with him.
The trailer I just sent you earlier.
With
the kid, the mute kid fighting and stuff, when he has the inner dialogue of the video game. You could have just done something like that where you hear Snake Eyes, but it's an inner dialogue. Like he's just talking, telling a story while the movie's going on. But I mean, like, again, this reason why they didn't use Snake Eyes that much in the Sunbow, because he doesn't talk. You're going to animate a silent ninja dude. So, and it is called Origin. So this is before his accident where he can't speak anymore. Right. So he's not technically even.
The problem is it doesn't really set that up either.
Exactly.
It's the next one, if they ever did another one, would be Origins 2, the further Origins.
Yeah, and then he would probably fell in love with the Baroness.
An origin sequel to a non-origin.
Never speak of this. Because he chokes on a chicken bone and then loses his vocal cords.
Wait.
Oh man.
The ultimate Snake Eyes Storm Shadow movie right here. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Hans makes a good point, and this echoes what you were saying, Ryan, with how it's do the origin movie of the bad guys, so that that's why they're bringing in G.I. Joe.
But I think one of the consensus we're getting here is that it's better to start with a bit of a banger and then go back and circle to the origin story once you've got them hooked.
If you have to.
Kinda. Yeah,
I still think just say G.I. Joe is, and then say who G.I. Joe is at the beginning of the film, 30 seconds max, and you're already in. Hit the ground running.
What it is some of my favorite. Yes, Gazz?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna wrap up with like some of my favorite comic stories are the origins, right? Like Batman Year One that I mentioned earlier, Mark Waid's Superman Birthright, absolutely loved it. Magneto Testament, which goes back to when he was a kid. You know, like a lot of that is just some of my favorite stories, but the character was already long established in my head before they went to it. And it's like, hey, how did this person get started? So, you know, I don't know. It's just something on my mind.
So for everybody out there in the world, the best Snake Eyes movies to watch. Ready? For an origin story, you can watch that. Or you can watch this one where he goes toe to toe with, where's the name right there? With Storm Shadow.
Enter the Ninja.
So you have, these are the movies that I would have like looked at those and said like, all right, this is what I got to work with. This is how I'm gonna create these two characters. Because I mean, like this right here is basically what Larry Hama wrote in the comics, where you have this American dude and he joins a ninja clan, and then the Shokuzagi, who's the top student, hates him.
There was also, remember the movie The Octagon with Chuck Norris?
Yeah.
Same thing where he like joined the clan as a young American guy, and then
it's out there, and I don't want to say I don't hate the movie. I disagree with a lot of things they do in the movie, especially the origin. It doesn't need to be origin. It doesn't need that. It's a good ninja movie. The G.I. Joe parts fail. Like when they show the weapons boxes and the crates open, you see the Cobra logo. That's perfect, right? That's perfect. Oh shit, it's Cobra.
Good setup.
And then you have the Baroness come in and they're like, okay, that's the contact for these dudes, right? That's cool, right? The scene with Scarlet, as much as it's cool, it's just not needed. Like we know she's a badass. We know she's martial arts trained because that's her background, right? Because you grew up in a family of martial artists, right? But to watch her kicking the crap out of these guys like she's talking on the phone, it was just unnecessary. It was dumb. I think it was dumb. You know, it's dumb. Very good popcorn movie, but not cool.
What about the hint at the return of G.I. Joe at the end of Transformers?
I like that.
There we go.
I like it because it's subtle and it doesn't seem like we're going to get an origin story like they're already fully formed.
Yes.
Right. And that excites me because they're there. And like now I'm thinking to myself, and I'm watching this because this is just a Bumblebee universe, right? This isn't the actual Is it the actual
so
universe?
the Rise of the Beast universe, I think that whole universe is like a soft reboot. So like everything in the past still exists, but I think they haven't decided how they're gonna work it in. I was trying to understand like what happened, like post
because I'm
Bumblebee.
thinking of like if it's not a soft reboot and it's like continuation of the other movies. So this whole time G.I. Joe's has been chilling in the background and like, all right, we ain't gonna strike yet. When are you gonna strike? But
When
if
the big
it's a
robot
soft reboot, when the big robot comes out of the earth. But like I forget who said it. Everybody says it. Like the first Transformers movies, that military unit that was with that could have been G.I. Joe, right? That would have been
should have been.
They should have been working hand to hand with them, right? Yeah. But like this just sets up as like they're established, they're watching, and they're ready to do something. And like when they do something, it's going to be a hard impact. Like if this movie comes out and like GI Joes don't make a massive impact against the Transformers, I will be sorely disappointed.
This does continue from Bumblebee. So like they've been established for at least I don't know, maybe since then. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I guess no, Bumblebee's in the past though. So but still, right.
Yeah. So Rise of the Beast was 92. That's when it happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
in the 90s. Well, 92 or 94.
So then, it's the Rise of the Beast is a sequel to Bumblebee, obviously.
Yes.
So my fear though is the GI Joes are going to get sidelined in a Transformers movie. Transformers movies.
That's fine. They can get sidelined in a Transformers movie so long as it launches off into their own GI Joe movie, right? And to Gazz's point. If they were G.I. Joe in the original Transformers movie, that would have been considered a sideline of sorts.
Yeah.
But that could have launched off into something a lot bigger. Should have.
And let's hope whatever it is a good Transformers movie, because a lot of the consensus, not counting the animated movie, a lot of people say that Bumblebee is the best film. Second is the 2007 movie, and a lot of people are putting Rise of the Beast third. Like when the movie came out for the next month, I just Googled because that was my ranking as well. So as long as they make it at least as good as Rise of the Beasts, we can always say they were involved in a good, movie of sorts and can use it as a springboard.
Again, like to what I was saying is like they need to make an impact. Like I don't think that an Autobot or a Decepticon's unstoppable for us with weaponry, right? You could take down a Transformer because you hit them and they're bleed, like they get hurt, even though they're metal, they get hurt. Right, because they're a living entity, they're going to get hurt. So with like the weapons we're just going to use like bigger firepower, right? And they could hurt a Transformer easily and take one out easily, like they did in the first Transformers movie when they took out what's his name? That wasn't humans that took him out, the helicopter dude, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Blackout?
I think that's his name. Yeah. They took him out.
Wasn't Blackout the car? Or was Blackout?
No, it was a tank, the truck. I don't know. The helicopter guy. It was one of them. Like big guy was riding the motorcycle, went underneath and shot him from the other side and got into. Anyway, what I'm saying is, like Joes are going to be the elite of military that we have. Let's face it. We have like what our top elite is. What, like Delta Team, Delta Force? I guess it's the top echelon of military special forces, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, it is Blackout
out there in the world.
Well, right? I know.
G.I. Joe's.
You're the Transformers guy.
G.I. Joe's
asleep at the wheel.
The G.I. Joes are above that, right? They're the elite of the elite, the best of the best, right?
Yes.
So they would have. I know a lot of people like their G.I. Joes realistic. They want realism in their weapons, and Cobra is okay to be sci-fi because they're bad guys, right? But I counter that G.I. Joes would have access to weaponry that we don't know about.
Yeah,
like flying. They would have been, because we had the stealth.
You're gonna have DARPA, all the weapons that we don't know about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were walking around with they're going to walk around with the laser portable like rifle, like they have in the GI cartoon, right? That looks like a really standard rifle. They're going to have that kind of stuff. They're going to have I was just watching a show and they were talking about sound, these like machine, like weaponry that military has. They're like sound, the decibels. They shoot a wave at you, sound, and it just completely disorients you, and it just like screws you up. And then they have one for heat rays. So I'm like literally have a death ray, right? And this kind of stuff, which is future tech, which I think G.I. Joe would have, like that big cannon on the Ostriker. That's not a big machine gun. That's a fucking laser blast. That's a laser cannon in my mind, right? And G.I. Joe would have that because, hell yeah, and the pogo.
I love the pogo.
Hey, I look at it as like
and send it to Gazz.
I look at it as like a two-pronged thing. Like it jumps around, whatever, but it also hovers above the battlefield where a commander is like, oh, you're moving on to the right, get him over there. That's the way I look at it.
Ryan, what was the space version of the pogo called? Do you remember?
Oh, shit.
Did you have one of those? No, Ken had one of those, right?
No,
I didn't have one of those. I wouldn't. I'm sorry. When I saw the pogo, I'm like, oh hell no.
Not the anyway.
Come on, Jeff Toberg in that play motion thing they did where it crushed the Grand Grenadier guy.
Invader? Is that what it's called? Invader?
Oh, maybe.
Is it? Oh, the Invader. Yeah. It is the Invader.
I went to Yojo. I went to Yojo. I wasn't cool like Lilith.
You put that in the next G.I. Joe movie. Guaranteed hit.
But let me ask you guys this question.
Yeah.
Do you have faith that Paramount, the Bonaventure, can actually do a good Joe movie? Because at this point, I don't.
No.
And even tying it into Transformers, I just think they'll do the same.
There's just too many executives involved.
Well, I mean, it's. I guess from that standpoint, it's easy to put them into Transformers movie because you're going to need to have our military, and why not just do G.I. Joe, right? Why not just do it? As do I have any hope or that's just going to be successful? I have no expectations whatsoever for
They
it.
tried the shared universe in the comics and it didn't work.
They're doing it again.
They're doing it again.
Yeah. But I have a little faith. I have a little
visionaries as well. So
I have a little faith. I have a little faith in this comic book adaptation because of who's behind it. I think it's Robert Kirkman and his group in his studios behind it, and I have a little faith in him because do you know how he got into? You know how he became a member of Image? He's like a founding member of Image. You know that, right? You know how he became one? He pitched an idea for a comic book, which is The Walking Dead. The guy said to him, I forget who it was, said, this ain't gonna work. This is a zombie. Nobody cares about a zombie stuff. Says, you gotta give me something else. You gotta give me something else. And he came and he walked back and he thought about it and he talked to a couple people and they came back with this idea. Okay, so the zombies, they're just a precursor for an alien attack. It's an alien virus that creates zombies to soften us up, and then aliens come down. And the guy's like, I love it, do it. And then he went into it, started writing it, something, and the editor was like, where are the aliens? He's like, there are none. And at this point, it was like the top selling book at Image.
Love it.
Right.
I didn't realize that was Image Comics.
Yeah. Was that right?
He's not going to be part of the
movie.
Well,
I know he's not about the movies, but he's doing the comics. He's doing the comics. I have a little faith in that.
Right. But comics are for us, like us old dudes and some of the younger cats. But your movie is what's going to help bring more attention to the brand, bring more people into the brand. And you can't keep hurting it
that I agree
with bad movies.
That I agree with, but I mean, like, it's just all it will take is for them to actually bring in somebody who is actually passionate about G.I. Joe, about the brand. I mean, the perfect case in point to that is the Mandalorian. You got a guy who's really passionate about Star Wars. The guy, I forget his name. He did the whole Clone Wars saga. He's really passionate about it. Yeah, and he took what everybody wanted to see. I wanted to see Boba Fett, not the Mandalorian. I think that show would be even more perfect if it was about Boba Fett. If that was Boba Fett bounty hunting, that would have been perfect. But whatever. Mandalorian, it's cool. It's all great. I like it.
Boba Fett now is a bit, but I did enjoy the Mandalorian, and I was probably in the camp. It was like, why is this not just Boba Fett? But then after seeing the opening scenes to the first episode of The Mandalorian, I was hooked. Oh, I love that idea. If they had kept that, and I say this all the time, but if they had kept that original concept of how that first started, would have been a great show.
Yeah,
it's Bounty of the Week Western.
The thing. I mean, like I said, I think I said this in the chat, right? Disney didn't ruin Star Wars for me. I did.
Yeah.
I destroyed Star Wars for me. I put it up there so high that it just couldn't live up to my expectations. So whatever came out, I did not like. So I've been not a fan of Star Wars for a very, very long time. I mean, I only like Boba Fett and the Biker Scouts. The only two things that I like about Star Wars. Everything else.
Well, before the prequels, people were shitting all over Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi used to be the Star Wars movie that they said ruined Star Wars.
It was literally the scapegoat, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Right,
prequels came out, and now everyone's saying the prequels have aged really well.
Right.
That's still the same. It's still the same. I get news to everybody. It's still the same POS that came out back then. There's only like these two G.I. Joe movies. There's only some cool stuff. They killed the best character in the first movie.
I was gonna say Liam Neeson was like the best.
No, Darth Maul. They split him in half in the first movie.
Maul.
Oh, you went
like,
Maul. But see, both of us have a best character in the first movie. You see how that happened? You see how that happened?
Yeah, he should have been like the final fight in the third movie.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He should have been the final fight. That would have been perfect for Obi-Wan to get past. This one guy.
Make General Grievous the Return of Maul, and he's like half
Well,
cyborg.
they did that in the Clone Wars.
Or you save Maul,
Right.
say he lived all along, and you air it in Rebels.
Like I saw that in the Clone Wars. As much as I liked watching Clone Wars, I said, like, how the hell did he survive that endless fall down that tube? That doesn't make sense.
Slow curve at the end. Slow curve at the end.
Yeah, slow curve at the end. Yeah. Oh yeah, like when Luke fell off the
slow curve.
Yeah.
If we can accept that Luke fell from great heights into a tiny tunnel, then we can accept that two halves of Darth Maul were able to land fine, right?
Right.
He's clearly lost the bottom half of his body, which is the other.
Well, yeah, but it was cut in half by a lightsaber, which automatically just sealed up the wound.
Yeah, cauterizes.
Cauterized the wound.
So, as an alien, though, who are we to say that cutting him in half would have killed him anyway?
Right.
Okay.
He could just grow back.
In his head. and let me just say that Qui-Gon didn't disappear like all the other Jedi did.
Yeah.
He just laid
that
there
was a surprise.
dead carcass.
It's because Qui-Gon was awful.
Because when his force ghost showed up,
Stop it, Anna.
I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. But
Qui-Gon's the worst.
No.
They should have left him alive, and they could have done like a Taken series.
Listen,
Qui-Gon, where's Obi-Wan? I'm coming for you.
The first scene in that movie, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan get on the Separatist ship, which is full of bad things. And Obi-Wan says, I've got a bad feeling about this. And Qui-Gon says, I don't feel anything. Because he's an idiot. He's the worst Jedi. And then the council says, he says, mind yourself, Padawan. He gives Obi-Wan a talking to. He's like, yep, watch out. And then the council's like, you can't train him. He's like, well, I will. This guy, he's fine now. I don't need Obi-Wan. He's okay. He can do the trial.
Qui-Gon's way of teaching is not teaching at all.
And then he guilts Obi-Wan into training him. He shouldn't have trained him.
What he's saying is he's the worst Jedi, but the coolest character.
No, he's not.
I went totally full cop out there.
Darth Maul was the coolest character, and Obi-Wan Qui-Gon Jinn was the worst Jedi.
Just the scene of him just taking his lightsaber and just hitting that laser shield thing. Like I'm too eager to kill you. Can this thing just go away?
Yeah. Stabs a door.
But then I think that just goes back to the one thing: lazy writing.
Well, you can blame Lucas for that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because Lucas did the prequels because
he needed money. He needed money. That's all he wanted.
And
he had all that time.
They made a shit ton of money.
He had all that time to work on him, and he didn't do anything because he wasn't going to do anything. And then all of a sudden, I got to sit down and write these and make these movies. It's like, whatever. And then you sell it to Disney, and then you get mad that you sold it to Disney. Dude, seriously, make up your goddamn mind what you want to do. And while I'm on my
we feel Gazz.
Can we appreciate Disney when they do something right and not just shit on them when they do something wrong? Can we do that,
for instance? For instance,
I mean, look at the Marvel movies. That's all Disney. They own Marvel. That's all Disney.
Iron Man came out before it was Disney, though.
No, it's all Disney. All those later movies are all Disney, right? Like Endgame, all that's Disney. They own Marvel. That's all Disney. And we don't say, oh, great on what's his name in Marvel for doing these. But when a bad one comes out, oh, it's all Disney's fault. Well, it's like, take it or leave it. They still made Herbie. That's
All right,
fun.
Sure.
I'm getting nudged
for
dinner, as FYI. So I'll wrap up here in a couple of minutes.
What was the Apple Dumpling Gang? That was Disney, right?
We need a shirt for Gazz that says, "Hey, idiots! Disney made Herbie." It's just like super conversation.
I'm not talking about that remake Herbie. I'm talking about the original Herbies.
Yeah,
and they made the black hole. They made
Gazz on a soapbox.
And they made Tron.
Yeah,
Tron.
Yes, it comes down to the real problem with everything is us as fans.
Exactly.
Because we
don't know what we want. We don't know what we want. Like Classifieds came out. What was the big thing to do on Classifieds when they came out? Oh, they better not give us anything new.
Can't find it.
No. They better not give us anything new. It should be the traditional stuff. That's what we want. And then later on, they show what they're coming out with, and it's like, no, they should have given us new stuff, not the old stuff. I'm getting tired of this crap. It's like, dude, you don't even know what you want. First of all, stop complaining about it. It's just ridiculous.
Fox and the Hound, Kurt Russell, love it.
Damn right, Kurt Russell.
Guys, they gave us Kurt Russell. They gave us Kurt Russell.
Thank you.
They did give us Kurt Russell. Thank you, Disney, for giving us Kurt Russell. Haters gonna hate.
Yeller. Okay.
No, look. I'm not saying everything they do is perfect, but I mean, at least give them the applause where they deserve the applause. If you're going to give them the shit when they need the shit, right? It's the same thing with Hasbro. If they do something crap, fine, but if they do something good, applaud them, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for this thrilling episode of Shoot the Shit. Thank you to our guest, Dreadnought Ryan, Toy Connections Ken, Adam from Go Figure. I believe I put all the links to these people in the description, so do go check them out. If you are a channel member or if you are a Patreon supporter, you can join us in about 10 minutes. We're going to be going live over in a private stream for Crash and Burn with Crash. It's headlining that one. So join up as a member or a Patreon supporter, and you can come and check that out. I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit heated. That'll be the burn part of Burn. So do consider becoming that. We'll be on in 10 minutes. But thank you to everybody that's tuned in today, everyone in the chat, all my guests here today. Adam, thank you for putting those slides together. I missed one or two of them because my internet was a bit garbage. But have you guys got anything coming up? Ken, you got anything coming up we need to know about?
New video, Friday, History of G.I. Joe 1987.
Oh, nice.
Working on some Transformer stuff in the background. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. There's a few things in the queue. Just got to figure out when I'm going to air what. But
what about you, Ryan?
After show.
Ryan, what have you got going
sitting
on?
around in my underwear a little bit later this week, just kind of Homer Simpsoning it for the fun of it.
Love it.
No, I'll probably have a recap from the Joe stream, what's coming up. I just want to send a big shout out to my son. I'm going to do a little father brag if you don't mind.
Yes,
he made
of course.
state tournament, so that's going on this weekend. And then I want to send a big, we're thinking of you, we love you, and I hope you get well soon to our a friend of ours, Margot. She's going through cancer treatment. She had to have surgery to remove part of her tongue and jaw. So just if you guys say a prayer, send good thoughts, whatever. She's an absolute gem of a woman. And we just hope she gets well soon and her family is all taken care of too.
Yeah, best of luck with that surgery. Adam, anything coming up from you soon?
I got tomorrow night. We got the Toy Biz, none of your Toy Biz over on the clubhouse there. We're gonna dive into the X-Men Wave 1, and then I've got a couple restorations coming up. That just kind of putting some finishing touches on some shots and whatnot before I edit those together. But it should be good.
Perfect. Can't wait. Gazz, beauty as always. Thanks for your sandbox options at the end there. We might have to end all our shows with a Gazz sandbox.
No.
But this is great.
I don't want to make enemies.
Oh, Gazz, you know what we got coming up the next Shoot the Shit?
What's that?
Mad Max.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to talk Mad Max.
Ooh, the trilogy that also had a couple of sequels.
Yeah.
or prequels, depending how you look at it. All right,
even
with
one-
that, we'll see you soon on the members only stream Crash and Burn in about 10 minutes. See you, lads.
Hey man, no strangers here. These times I hold them dear. Doors open, so come on in. Yeah, that was great. Let's do it again. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly. Do you wanna come over? Just like the old times, we'll hit pause and then hit rewind. You wanna come over? Just like the old days, and we'll watch the time just fly.
Because knowing is half the battle.
Space Commando.